This was recorded before the announcement of Ishii's injury and that Kojima will be taking his place in the tournament. Hope you enjoy the video.
Hey! You're muted!
I thought it was unmuted. Hey, hold on. I'm leaving this in. This is good content. Welcome back,
pal. I'm recording.
Yes. Welcome back to another edition of the New Japan Cup preview alongside me, Ash, and my good friend, the simple man, Noah Foster.
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Oh.
We did this last year, and this was the very first video I did on this channel, actually. So we're back again with this baddie bracket breakdown.
It's baddie bracketology for the second time annually for the New Japan Cup and New Japan Pro Wrestling. Good to see you, Ash, and hope everyone's having an incredible time and supporting Baddie for Wrestling for all your New Japan outlook and needs, because I assure you she's going to bring you more content in and out of Japan too. So I hope that y'all enjoy it. It's good to see you again. I mean, literally, we were just across all the channels at our studios covering the new beginning, phenomenal show. And now we're here hopping up the New Japan Cup, and who knows if we're going to call the final or even secure a Genesis to follow. So this should be fun once again, despite the fact most of my bracket got busted. But at least I was able to pick the winner.
Same with mine. I was like going through it, and it's like, and then somewhere, I don't remember exactly where, I was like, oh, well, there went my bracket, but got the result right. So
hey, sometimes you just gotta get lucky. Again, with this type of thing, it's a do or die. Of course, the New Japan Cup, you think about this tournament going all the way back to 2005, winners across the board like Hiroshi Tanahashi, Goto, Nagata, Giant Bernard, Kota Ibushi, Shinsuke Nakamura, some of the more prominent old school New Japan Cups that I remember, considering they're some of my favorite wrestlers in New Japan history. Will Ospreay, Zack Sabre Jr., Rainmaker, Tsuchika Okada. So very curious who takes that, let's call it what it is, super big, obnoxious trophy for a photo op, heading to Kurt Jansen for a shot at the IWGP Championship. This should be interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, I noticed the thing about New Japan. They just love their gargantuan trophies. Even the G one is pretty big in itself, too.
Right? Like, seriously. Hell of a photo op, I will say that.
Right. Although, I guess it adds to, like, the grandioseness of these tournaments, so...
Yeah. Anyway.
All right, so... New Japan Cup is upon us. The first night is in a couple of days. So, let's get on with the bracket, shall we?
Oh, boy. Good Lord almighty.
I look at all the names on here. It's a who's who of the New Japan roster, especially for the heavyweight side of things. And I've noticed, like, this time around, there's not really any junior heavyweight representation.
No, this is definitely more top class than we've seen an open weight New Japan Cup in the past. But to your point, it's the higher echelon of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Considering we got Best Super Juniors come up as well. Stay tuned, folks, for bracketology on that.
That's going to be fun.
Damn right. It is one of those things where I do see a lot of this generation, but also some of the old guard. I mean, we got freaking Tomohiro Ishii, Yoshigo Takagi, who's come very close to winning this tournament in the past. Chase Owens is one of those guys that can play spoiler, but has never gotten to that next point. I'm curious, with a lot of the old guard gone from New Japan, this really could be anyone's tournament win. Hiroki Goto, who ushered in the Goto Revolution last year, might certainly look to get back towards that. Jake Lee, though, I think this is Jake Lee's first New Japan Cup, if I'm being honest here.
I think it is, yeah, because he unfortunately had to miss out last year because of the injury he had. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the only one that really sticks out right here, if I'm going off just past stats of winners, is Goto, because he's won it 3 times over, I believe. Other than that, everyone else pretty much could be a first-time winner almost, I think. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, because the lot of thing about like Goto, people always said he's the bridesmaid, never the bride. Until last year, where he actually captured the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, even though it's in that, the version we don't really talk about no more.
History is history, but nonetheless. Plus, your boy Zack Sabre Jr., who of course did win the New Japan Cup not once but twice, and of course I remember the first time he literally submitted everybody.
He did. It's so funny because when I watched that I watched the New Japan Cup in 2018. I just only watched the Zack Sabre Jr. matches,
Ah!
which I realized like this is you are playing a dangerous game, girl. Because if he gets eliminated, then what?
How are you going to react to that? I mean,
I would have been like, whoever beats Zack makes finals and wins this damn thing. That's what my thought process was.
a fair point. Well, I mean, last year's winner is not even involved in this year's tournament, as we know, David Finlay, and the previous winner before that, he's the guy we're going after now, Yota Tsuji.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right?
again, where do you go from here? Do you go after Goto, who has the most experience and overall wins in the Japan Cup? Do you go after Zack Sabre Jr., who honestly is the second probably most dangerous candidate? And again, who's going to play? Spoiler: does Tomohiro Ishii surprise? I would love to see Ishii freaking win this thing, but again, it doesn't matter if Ishii wins. He just wants to beat the crap out of everybody, and I'm fine with that too. That's why he's got to buy. Duh. So
Exactly.
but yeah,
Right. So
go ahead.
as we get to the breakdown, last year we broke it down from left bracket to right bracket. I figured this time we do it proper. We go by day and state who we think is going to win as we move around the tournament.
Oh Jesus.
Would you like to go first?
Okay. So, oh boy. Woo! Wow. It put me right there. Well, thank goodness New Japan puts their freaking brackets in quarters as far as action during the day, because to your point, day one, there's our first two matchups. We got Uya Mera versus Greto Khan. All hail. And we got Aaron Wolf and Don Fale. Aaron Wolf, though, is another one that is going to be one I watch out for. I want to see him really impress, considering this is also his New Japan Cup debut. Hell, he's still a baby. He's just a baby in New Japan Pro Wrestling after coming in on his debut for professional wrestling in general at Wrestle Kingdom. So I'm going to keep things simple here. So we got a whole tournament. As far as the opening round goes, I'm going to look towards, especially look at the buys, and I'm thinking about, oh, good Lord, what sort of match we're going to have. Drew Maloney, who just confirmed he was signed to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Greto Khan, all hail. Is he really part of the Rise United Empire, or is he not sure about this United Empire? Greto Khan is a mystery right now to me, where he belongs in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I feel if he loses out here, you might want to question yourself. But Uya and Shota, they just lost out against the Knockout Brothers. While they wanted to bring New Japan stronger together, maybe they're better doing things off on their own. So I'm going to say that it becomes Uya and Aaron Wolf, because again, House Georgia, never going with them. Nope. I'm going to go with Uya and Aaron Wolf to win their opening round matches for day one of the Cup.
Okay, cool. We almost have the same, except I had Okan going over Umura, but I have Aaron Wolf going over Don Fale.
Okay, fair enough. Interesting thoughts. Again, folks, you can still get your bracketology in, of course, because the New Japan Cup does start March 4th. You still have some time left, and good luck to everybody. And yes, I am noting my bracket, because fudge it, why not? Let's see if I can beat Ash. How much different or how much similar we're going to be. So far, we're literally 1 versus 1. So
yes, it will make sense. My picks will make sense as we go around the bracket, because I'm like looking at it like story based and like character motivations.
Wow, I mean, hell, new to the beginning, every freaking faction has their own color. At this point, New Japan's about what faction is going to paint New Japan in their color. Is it going to be green, red, orange, purple? Please no. Red. Your guess is as good as mine, based on the faction. And here we are talking about United Empire, freaking Hontai, and Unbound Company, and House of Torture. And again, Aaron Wolf, I guess he's Hontai. It's really crazy to look at the battleground of faction warfare that New Japan has become. Period.
Right? It's because I will say this. What I like about the United Empire is that they're finally cohesive and they're getting a push especially as a heel faction.
No kidding.
Because the only other heel faction we have at the moment is House of Torture, and a lot of people are getting sick of it because they were heavily pushed last year, but that's because they were the only heel faction they had at the time, because United Empire, it's kind of hard to book a faction when you're not sure who's staying, who's leaving, and not to mention the amount of people they had injured and when they were coming back, because time also took into like a big factor into that as well. You can make the argument that TMDK can be heels, but they're mostly like their roles are highly dependent on who their challenges are at the time, because they can alternate between baby faces and heels. Because for TMDK, on the TMDK side of things, I've noticed that it's very situational.
That's a fair shout, honestly, because right now some of these factions are situational. Talking about TMDK, we're really wondering what direction is next for them, considering they're no longer the six-man, never open-weight champion. Zack Sabre Jr., who spearheaded the last half of the year in the dickhead champion era, and prior to that, the respectable leader of New Japan era. So that's a fair outlook. And speaking of the stories, what does this lead to in Sakura Genesis, the super card of the spring season, before we head into Best Super Juniors, G1 Climax, Dominion, Dontaku? There's still a lot of what-ups in the air that could literally be foreshadowed based on who gets a win here in the New Japan Cup over a key player in the name of faction supremacy, or making their own statement.
Absolutely, yeah. It's really early. Like usually, like what I've noticed about the New Japan Cup, like how it progresses, sets in stone for what happens not only at Sakura Genesis, but going into the summer for Dominion as well.
And stay tuned, folks. We probably will cover Dominion because it is the second biggest show of New Japan's calendar year. Just saying. Yeah. I think, again, those that did tune our coverage of New Beginning USA and Wrestle Kingdom 20 so far, again, that is not going to be the only New Japan coverage we do this year. Damn it.
Right. We are loaded up on New Japan coverage for this year, which is really good because it's about time we bring New Japan to the forefront.
It's about time we bring Japanese wrestling to the forefront. Shoot, I'm just waiting for us to cover a Stardom show at this point, and we know we got one during WrestleMania. Wait, but again, side tangent. And stay tuned. Maybe the next time we do a simple session, we'll talk more about that. The state of Japanese wrestling and the importance of it. Anyway. So far.
Yes. As we march forth into the March 5th show.
Oh, no.
So we got Taichi versus Red Narita. And we also got El Phantasmo versus Oleg. Is it Bolton Oleg?
Bolton Oleg, yes.
Bolton Oleg. I keep on calling him Oleg Bolton, but no, it's Bolton Oleg.
I mean, to be fair, Japan, they do switch the names around, so I don't hold it against you.
Yeah. It's like, what's their first name? What's their last name? It's the culture there.
I love it.
So for my picks, so I have Narita going over Taichi.
Oy.
And I got Oleg beating Phantasmo.
All right. Well, Phantasmo, no stranger in the New Japan Cup. I'm actually looking at last year's bracket. I figured about, we had like half the size of this field, might I add, who was actually in there, who got out of the gates in round one. And based on that, I'm looking at also this year, though, much like you said, and the New Beginning USA might tell us a whole lot about ELP and what he believes his star power can be. Can he be a champion in New Japan Pro Wrestling? I am holding out for ELP to go after the new strawweight champion, but Bolton Oleg's been a breakout since arriving in New Japan. And he's only 3 years involved in this business. So, yeah, I agree with you about Bolton Oleg. As far as the other match, though, Taiji, like I said, I have such a soft heart and spot for Taiji and Ishii. Those two have been spearheads for testing the strongest spirit out of each other and out of anyone there in the rear of New Japan Pro Wrestling. For a while, I wasn't sure Taiji was taking this seriously enough, nor taking himself seriously enough as a wrestler. But Ishii was always the guy to bring that out of him. And looking at what's in the next show, I'm talking more about that later, but also looking at Taiji, where he and Ishii came off that incredible war against Uyo Yamera and Shota Umino in Korakuen Hall to challenge the knockout prize ahead of Osaka. I feel that Taiji particularly is in a state right now where he knows how good he is, but how much more can he bring? And looking at the fact that his student Uyo Yamera is also in this and on the same side, maybe some foreshadowing for later when it comes to my bracket in mind. So with that being said, I'm actually going with Taiji, and I'm hoping that leads to Taiji challenging in Narita for the never openweight championship and restoring the never weight title.
That's
so
a
Taiji
very
and Bullet Oleg are my picks.
Oh, that's a very good shout because I'm also like going into this building trying to build up not only potential opponents for Oleg as the never open as a NJP strong never open weight champion, but also for Narita as a never open weight champion as well. And you do make up a good point about like how it's long, how Taichi has come as like a player because we went from go home Taichi to let's go Taichi.
Exactly.
So yeah, Taichi's come a long way from being like a despicable, detested figure like Evil is to a beloved fan favorite, just like how Goto is.
Well, Goto, I mean, a father, a guy who's been on this journey now for 18 years, I believe, in New Japan alone, has also been a standout performer in previous New Japan Cups, as we talked about here. And again, you got to respect the old guard that is still holding strong in New Japan, and those names we just mentioned are all part of that. And for me, I really want to see Taiji achieve something big. I think he's overdue for it. And maybe getting the number one champion is the reset he needs. And beating Red Narita is the first chance to do that.
Fair point. Then we go on to, where is it? Yeah, March 6th. We got Yoshihashi versus Jake Lee. And we got Oscar versus Caleb Newman.
Okay, this is weird as we go now the opposite way. Okay. First off, the Knockout Brothers have literally defined a concrete foundation for the tag team division in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Mad respect. But this is the first time now we're seeing Asuka in the tournament fashion as a singles competitor. Not his first singles match, I mind you, since coming to New Japan. Ooh. But still, this is going to be interesting considering he's facing the Prince. Kyle Newman, you said yourself, United Empire has built themselves as the most predominant heel faction now next to House of Torture with their attitude of spite led by the Prince of Pace. After overcoming David Finlay at that match in Osaka, a new theme, a new attitude, a new confidence, it almost feels like Kyle Newman is a guy that you can't bet against. So straight up, I got to go with Kyle Newman here just on that idea that he's keeping the momentum for United Empire, and maybe this could be his breakout year. So Kyle Newman is definitely the one I think is going to overcome Oscar somehow, some way. I do not know how he's going to overcome the giant German, but I just feel like right now Kyle Newman, this pace works more for him than one half of the Knockout Brothers. As far as the other match goes, Yoshihashi, again, another heavily underrated player in New Japan Pro Wrestling, the Headhunter, accomplished tag team specialist, a part of Bishamon, and of course, accomplished 6-man weight champion, but also never won the New Japan Cup. Jake Lee, though, that's the silent gesture, and this is going to be a whole different mental warfare for some people may not even know how to even understand Yoshihashi at times when all he does is yell. I'm kind of torn on this one, but thinking about, again, looking at the foundation, the scope of New Japan Pro Wrestling, the old guard versus the new guard, which is a heavy statistic out of this tournament here, and looking down further, I would love to see a Bishamon matchup, and I think it could happen. But Jake Lee is unproven to himself and to New Japan, in my opinion. So I'm going to go with Jake Lee and Kyle Newman for right now.
This is the first time you and I are on the same page.
Definitely.
And you know what? Same reasons as well. No joke. That's why I went with Caleb Newman, and that's why I went with Jake Lee.
Well, there you go.
You know, this is this one. So these next matches, this one I was kind of like iffy on. So on March 8th, we have Shota Umino versus Chase Owens. This one was a no-brainer for me. The next one, that's where I went 50-50 on. I was like trying to figure out like who to go with. Yeah, it's like, do I go Yuto Ice or how do you say his name? Oiwa?
Ryohei Oiwa.
Yes, Oiwa, yes. I still can't figure out how to say his name.
It's all right.
So for Umino versus Chase Owens, I just went with Shota Umino.
Yeah, that wouldn't need to say anything further.
Yeah.
With all due respect to Chase Owens tenured, your House of Torture, you're dead to me.
Mm-hmm. As
And
for
Shota
Chase,
Umino needs a reset again. And last year, he was the New Japan Cup finalist.
Mhm.
I can't bet against the Roughneck in the opening round this year. No way.
No, not at all. And for Yudo Ice versus Oiwa,
Oh boy.
this one I went with Yudo Ice because I was thinking like, ooh, like because last year in the tournament we had Zach going against Uya, and I was thinking, oh, a rematch could be good. But then I was like looking at it long term, like, oh, you know what? Let's have Yudo Ice go over because I had Oscar losing, so we have to have at least one of the tag champs at least make it a little bit farther in the bracket, and then once we get to the March 14th match, I'll go into a little bit more detail as to why I went to pick the Yudo Ice over Oiwa.
Oh, see, here's the thing about New Japan Pro Wrestling, though, Ash, especially in tournament settings. Rematches a year later could tell a completely different story and how strong a young punk has become. And to your point, we had Oiwa, he's been put for the ringer by Yuto Ice. Let's not forget what they went through back at the New Year's Dash in the NJPW tag team match when Yuto Ice and Oiwa were slugging out against each other for that most part. It was almost like Yuto was trying to bring out something better in Oiwa. And to a degree, he did. It wasn't enough, though, but it's a hell of a commendable fight. For Oiwa to overcome Yuto Ice in singles action, though, I think it'll be a lot of a proving ground for Oiwa when it comes to what Yuto thinks of him as a competitor. So, believe it or not, you and I are different. I went with Oiwa, and I do think they're going to run back Stack Team and Junior Oiwa. Not whether or not the result's going to be the same. I'll talk more about that later as you discuss. But I actually got Oiwa overcoming Yuto Ice in this singles affair.
Hey, that's pretty cool. I mean, I'm fine with either of these guys going over, but it's just like as we go into the tournament, it will make more sense as we go along.
Of course, I'm sure.
So now that brings us to the March 10th matches.
The buys.
Yes. So for this one, Drilla versus Okan.
Yeah, about to say, remember your first round because this is when the brackets are really going to start separating, folks. Good luck keeping up, and also, again, do your own, too. But who wins, Team Ash or Team Simpleman? You decide. But continue. Okan versus Drilla Maloney.
This is going to be a hard-hitting match because Drilla has really come to his own as like a heavyweight because
1 year later.
He just fits so well in that division because his style matches up with when you think of heavyweight wrestler in New Japan Pro Wrestling.
And that Drilla Killer is devastating. And to your point, Drilla Maloney broke out as a heavyweight last year against, hey, look who's on the other buy. I'm just saying.
I think I was trying to scroll through it. I was like, oh, yeah, I have Okan going over.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
What made you decide to go with that? You actually got the Dominator trying to dominate the New Japan Cup?
Because going up against like the Shingo versus Wolf match, I have Shingo going over Aaron Wolf because that plays into the Unbound Co. and the United Empire feud that's going on right now.
Oh, okay. That's a fair shout. Well, I will say this, as I had Uya Amera overcoming Greto Khan, but yours actually does make a lot more sense. Regardless, I do have Joe Maloney overcoming Uya Amera, not only with the fact that, again, he is still, of course, staying in New Japan, but one of the strongest standouts last year as a tag team was the War Dragons, which is why in the other half, when I have Aaron Wolf going over, I got Shingo going over Aaron Wolf. I think we're going to get a War Dragons rematch and the rematch of the two men that defy each other's heavyweight existence last year in 2025. I got Driller going over Uya, and I got Shingo going over Aaron. Plus, Shigeru Takagi, he is one of the most consistent performers ever, heavyweight-wise and tournament-wise, in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And yes, I know, Driller and Shingo was a match last year in the quarterfinals, being perfectly honest, not the semifinals. Of course, the tournament being bigger, we still have other matches besides that. But I think they run it back. The beauty of G1 Climaxes and New Japan Cups, you get those incredible matches run back, and sometimes the result's different, and they go even harder than previously. Again, looking at last New Japan Cup. So, yeah, I got the next round going to Drilla Maloney and Shingo Takagi, because they're the two I'm watching out right now in the New Japan Cup in that entire top left corner of that bracket.
Yeah, you do make a good point about Shingo being a tournament wrestler because he doesn't get taught. He's so underrated when it comes to like tournament performances because he does so well, not just in the New Japan Cups, but also in the G1 as well. Like almost every tournament setting Shingo's been in, he delivers.
Damn right.
And the War Dragons rematch from last year, I'd be down for that too because that was such a good that was one of the best matches in the New Japan Cup from last year. I'd be down for that rematch.
Yeah, you me both. And again, War Dragons, who's the stronger of the two? They fight so strong together. How strong do they fight each other? Sometimes, again, the best rival you have is your own partner. Until as old as professional wrestling itself, despite the fact the War Dragons developed literally out of last year's World Tag League, again, Shingo and Drilla to find the beginning of 2025, New Japan Cup included.
Right? It's crazy how tag teams form out of feuds, just like what happened with the Bar in WWE, Rhea and Io, and I'm trying to think of an AEW example, but I can't think of one right now.
That's because AEW's got more consistent tag teams, honestly.
I mean, fair point. You're not wrong on that front.
About to say. Anyway, but yeah. So moving on now to March 12th. At least we get a day break.
All right. So for March 12th, on my side of the bracket, I got Ishii versus Narita and Hanare versus Oleg. And this is what I mean by setting up for title matches, because I have Ishii winning against Narita, and I have Hanare going over Oleg.
Oh, wow. Hanare, former Never Openweight champion in his own right. Bolton and Oleg and Hanare, good lord, the mana behind that match. Give me all the mana. I actually really like that a lot. So let's see. I, of course, have the run back of Taiji versus Ishii, a tale as old as time itself. Of course, Team 100, former NJPW Tag Team Champions. Ishii, though, he just lost, of course, the Strongweight Championship. He also has not been consistently involved in New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is why, and I've also remembered last year, it was Taiji that did overcome Ishii to make his way into G1 Climax via that bye. I think Taiji does it again. Again, like I said, I want Taiji to really achieve big things. I think Ishii wants that as well. At this point, I think all Ishii wants, he just wants the best damn fight he could get out of anybody to push himself. So I'm actually going with Taiji over Ishii. And as far as the other match, you make a very compelling argument with the Strawweight champion versus Hanare. Hell, Hanare once faced Eddie Kingston, let's forget, for the freaking NJPW Strong Championship because he beat the man in the G1 Climax. And I very much well could see that as well. When I look at United Empire players and the fact that Hanare has been out since his freaking migraine that almost killed him in that freaking Bullet Club War Dog Steel Cage match, only to come back this year at Wrestle Kingdom. Hanare needs to remind us exactly why he is the face of Fury. So that one I do agree with you. So I do have Ishii and going short against Taiji. And I have Bolton Oleg somehow getting knocked out by Hanare. So yeah, I got Hanare and Taiji.
We just went to March 12th. Now we go on to March 13th. We got, on my bracket, I have Goto versus Jake Lee, and I have Hartley Jackson versus Caleb Newman. So for this story, for this one, I went with like how, because some of them like on my brackets is also tag teams avenging the loss of their partner that are on the same side. So I had Goto go over Jake Lee, and for this one, I have Caleb Newman go over Hartley Jackson.
And this is where you and I somehow align again in this bracket side, because while Jake Lee overcomes Bishamon tag partner Hiroki Goto, last year's IWGP Heavyweight Champion and the most notorious New Japan Cup performer across this entire tournament with the most wins, it's hard to argue against Goto of how much he brought forward last year, not only out of the audience, but himself in New Japan. Goto Revolution. Hell, he had the most defenses in the IWGP World Heavyweight Championships short-term history of that title. He was the strongest one to avoid the cast that came with it. So I think I also got to go with you there with Hiroki Goto. And as far as the other one goes, Hartley Jackson, who's making his New Japan Cup debut, by the way, versus Kyle Newman, make way for the Prince. And like I said, Kyle Newman is going to be a buzzsaw during this New Japan Cup right now, at least through the top right-hand side of the bracket. So, yeah, I got to go with Hiroki Goto and Kyle Newman as well, respectfully, over their opponents, despite our first-round opponents being slightly differently. So I agree with you on both those decisions.
Nice. So then that brings us to March 14th. On my bracket, I have Yujiro versus Umino and Zack Sabre Jr. versus Yuto Ice. So
can't help myself. I love the guy.
I have Shota Umino. Sorry?
No, continue.
I have Shota Umino go over Yujiro. I have Umino being the House of Torture Slayer, to your surprise.
I already wrote Umino before we got to this, so thank you.
You're welcome. And I have Zack Sabre Jr. beating Yuto Ice. And this is where I think, because the Knockout Brothers are tag champions, right?
Correct.
So I'm thinking if Zack gets a win over Yuto Ice, that helps get Zack and Uya back into the title contention to potentially go after the Knockout Brothers again.
As a Curry Genesis, possibly. Fair, especially with Yuto Ice's attitude. And hell, Yuto Ice was the one that fired the first shot against Zack Sabre Jr., and that's when you got your favorite Zack Sabre Jr. dickhead attitude and promo backstage. To the point he kept on assaulting this man backstage. I think you just want to see Yuto Ice and Zack Sabre Jr. just beat the crap out of each other more so than anything.
I'd be for that too, yes.
I'm never going to argue against a fight when it comes to Yuto Ice.
No, not at all.
Getting us high. Pick up. That being said, I did go. We had Oiwa proving something against Yuto Ice here, and I do think that Oiwa, who, might I add, he only had one piece of gold since being part of New Japan, return of excursion, RH Champions Network Championship. Of course, just lost the 6-minute weight championships that meant so much to him, Cesar Jr. and Hartley Jackson. But Cesar Jr., there's a reason why he wanted that young punk in his faction. A leader grooms their students. They also lead by example, but eventually the student overcomes the teacher. I don't have that here. I still think Zack Sabre Jr. leads by example as well, but I do think Oiwa pushes ZSJ further than before. It's one of those things you think about chasing the dragon, getting out of that shadow. How long did it take for Okada to truly beat Hiroshi Tanahashi and surpass him? Truth be told, it took Wrestle Kingdom. How long did it take the young punks here in TMDK to overcome the front man of TMDK? Still a lot of work to be done. I think Oiwa sends a message to Yuto, but I think Zack Sabre Jr. reminds Oiwa, you still got time, sunshine. Not yet. So I got Zack Sabre Jr. going over Oiwa.
Nice. So we already went to, that was March 14th, so now we got March 15th.
You're getting closer now. You're officially in your quarterfinals.
Yeah. So for this, I got Okan. So on my bracket, I have Great Okan versus Shingo, and I have Ishii versus Hanare. I have Shingo going over Okan and Hanare going over Ishii.
Okay. So I have Shingo and Drilla, the War Dragons. Oh boy, do I go with the younger heavyweight or do I go with the freaking veteran heavyweight? Again, Shingo Takagi, last year he made it to the semifinals, lost out to Roughneck Shota Umino. This is quarterfinals though. I think, again, with the fact that Drilla did re-sign in New Japan, it's not going to be without results. I think I'm going to go with Drilla here to surprise us against Shingo Takagi in the New Japan Cup. Last year, Shingo did beat Drilla in the New Japan Cup, though, but I think Drilla gets his win back here. So I actually have Drilla going over. And as far as the bottom one, oh boy, Taiji and Hanare. I know the heart of Taiji is extremely strong, but Hanare's mana might be a little bit stronger. So I think out of that, I got to go with Hanare. So I'm going to go with Drilla Maloney versus Hanare, also rounding back to Unbound Company versus United Empire, of course, when we get to the 20th in the semifinals. But that's my picks.
Nice. I like that. That's very sound logic there. And also it helps push Drilla Maloney as a potential main eventer as well.
Exactly. Now
So that
March
brings
17th, the right-hand side.
all right, so on my side I have Zack Sabre Jr. versus Shota Umino, and I got Caleb Newman versus Goto.
Yep.
I have Zack going over Umino and Newman going over Zack going over Umino and Newman going over Goto.
See, I was
typing that 10 times fast.
I'm about to say a lot of O's there. Good grief. It is one of those things where Shota Umino and Zack Sabre Jr. have effing defined each other for who knows how long in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And again, the second chapter allows Shota Umino to beat the front man. But again, this is the third chapter now. I don't think history necessarily repeats. So I think I gotta go with Zack Sabre Jr. as well against, in my case, Shota Umino. But as far as the top one, Kyle Newman, Hiroki Goto, this is where I'm torn. Again, make way for the Prince. The Prince is the buzzsaw. The Prince works his way with the competition. Let's not forget Kyle Newman's first big breakout for the NJPW Championship was against Hiroki Goto when he challenged him for that title. Commendable effort, but the young man, it wasn't his time. I don't know necessarily if you go that far yet with Kyle Newman, so I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that we set up the match that defined the Go Revolution in the semifinals. I actually got Goto going over Kyle Newman. So mine's are Hiroki Goto and Zack Sabre Jr.
Okay, I see that. And to your point about Zack and Shota Umino having like a little feud, it was the I think I can't remember what New Japan Cup it was, but Umino did defeat Zack, which led up to the TV title match he had.
Yes, Sakura Genesis, exactly. That was back, I believe, in 2020, when, of course, he had that title. I think it was 2024. 24 or 23. It's always hard because the Wrestle Kingdom is always like the year later. So I'm pretty sure that Wrestle Kingdom 18 was when he lost that. No, wait. Yeah, Wrestle Kingdom 18 was when he lost that title, which was 2 years ago. So 2024. 2023. New Japan Cup 2023.
Okay. And because
math.
Yeah, no, and not only that, but Shota Umino also has wins on Zack over in the G1 Climax. So
correct.
It's possible that Umino could end up playing spoiler against Zack.
Well, we're at the point now where we've literally limited the field down to the final 4 from the previous 8. So I mean, there's definitely a chance for someone to be spoiler within the quarterfinals of this larger New Japan Cup versus last year. So I wouldn't rule it out. And again, with Shota Umino and Umino losing out against knockout bears, not once, but twice, they got to rethink their outlook on how they become stronger and make way for what they believe New Japan Wrestling can be if they can lead it. At one point, Shota Umino tried to call himself the ace. Yes. Not so much of an ace performance with results.
No, it just... going about that is just one of those things. I love how the confidence Shota Umino has, and when he got first pushed into the main event scene, it was one of those rare instances where management thought he was ready, but the crowd themselves weren't so keen on it.
No.
And because of this second chapter, not only has Umino really found himself as a person, but he was able to get on the good side of the Japanese audience as well.
Yeah, exactly. He's really recruited a better outlook and connection with New Japan faithful because he's living in the now versus trying to shape the future that he can't get to. And truth be told, again, he was a finalist in last year's New Japan Cup. I just don't know necessarily if he gets even out to the semifinals this year. That's why I went with Zack Sabre Jr. this time.
Yeah. If he does end up being Zack, that's gonna
allow Zack Sabre Jr. to rethink a lot when it comes to TMDK.
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
Yeah, than you think.
And also think of himself as a performer in these tournaments because Zack Sabre Jr. has a caliber of being a tournament wrestler to look out for.
2-time winner of the New Japan Cup.
Yeah. Now this brings us to the semifinals.
Both matches taking place March 20th, which means you are defining your finals taking place on the 21st. Do or die.
So on my side, I have Shingo versus Hinare and Zack Sabre Jr. versus Caleb Newman. I have Shingo going over Hinare and Newman going over Zack.
Okay. I have Drew Maloney versus Hinare and Hiroki Goto versus Zack Sabre Jr. Oh boy. Well, let's see. Again, Goto, most wins in New Japan Cup across this entire field. Judah Maloney, Hinare have not won this. So, regardless, my finals is going to have possibly a first time winner or possibly a previous winner. Looking at both matches, though, the War of Unbound Company versus United Empire. Hinare, who's been out injured for the better part of nearly 2 years. Drew Maloney again, though, defining himself as a heavyweight. This time going a little bit further in the New Japan Cup, according to my bracket, after being stopped by Shigeru Takagi. This is one of those things where I'm like, what narrative do you push further? And right now, who do you give the power leverage to? It's one of those things where I think also the toll of the tournament is also going to start picking up on people. And I think based on that, I got to go with, in this case, man, this is tough. Damn. I think because I already know I set up Hinare for something earlier after overcoming Bolton Oleg, I'm going to go with Drew Maloney here to surprise us, making his way to the finals in his first New Japan Cup since he performed it in last year. So I'm going to go with Drew Maloney on that side. As far as the other side, Zack Sabre Jr., Hiroki Goto. This is what defines whether I get dickhead Zack Sabre Jr. or if the Goto Revolution could possibly happen again. It's one of those things where right now I don't know where TMDK stands. And I do think Zack Sabre Jr. kind of realizes that as well. But Goto, again, he led the Revolution for the better part of the first half. But he also hasn't won the New Japan Cup, as I know, for a period of years. But looking at the other side, being Drew Maloney, I'm thinking about the strongest possible contest. And arguably, there's not a heavier hitter in this entire tournament right now than Hiroki Goto, let alone the strongest heart. So I think I'm going to set my finals to be Drew Maloney versus Hiroki Goto.
Ooh, that'd be a solid finals. And I got my finals as Shingo versus Caleb Newman.
Which means your overall winner.
Caleb Newman.
Wow. Go ahead, elaborate.
So you look at the people who I had go over, like Caleb Newman go over, right? You notice they're all former champions.
Yeah. Make way for the prince.
And also Caleb Newman, who's the current champion right now?
That would be Yota Tsuji.
Which also adds to the Unbound Co. versus United Empire feud. And by also having Caleb Newman beat all these former champions, it gives them much needed momentum going against Yota Tsuji, also carrying into the United Empire Unbound Co. feud between the two leaders.
Gotcha. Okay. So, my final, Drew Maloney, Hiroki Goto. Well, the last time Hiroki Goto was involved in the finals was 2024, and he lost to, that's right, Yota Tsuji. So imagine we flip the page and the roles around where Goto goes to Genesis to challenge Yota Tsuji for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Talking about the legacy of that title, Goto being the old guard knows all about that title. Of course, never held it. How incredible would it be for Goto to try and go after that title that he chased for 18 years, which is why for the, I believe, fourth time, I got Goto as my overall winner of this year's New Japan Cup. I think that Goto and Yota Tsuji could possibly happen at Sakura Genesis, and Yota Tsuji truly forges his own legacy, honoring New Japan history against one of the greats and the longest tenured in New Japan Pro Wrestling, continuing forward for Sakura Genesis, the G1 Climax season. So my overall winner for this year's New Japan Cup, I'm going with Hiroki Goto.
Yeah, but that's not a bad choice at all. Having a former champion go after like the current champion, and yeah, you made a very sound case for it. I'd be down for that actually.
And again, Drew Maloney just made it to the finals of the New Japan Cup, which just put him further on the map in that main event caliber conversation as we look towards G1 Climax and other shows to come, whether it's Nino Kumi, Dontaku, and let's not forget, we got Dontaku always before G1 Climax, and more importantly, before Dominion. So there's going to be a lot set up clearly, as we know after this. What's going to take up most of the May into June season will be Best Super Juniors. But right now, I think if Yoshisuji is going to forge forward in Japan Pro Wrestling, he's got to continue to respect the past and overcome it. And whether or not he was Boston Crab, whole different conversation. Hell, Yoshisuji and Roki Goto, they kind of defined each other for a good period of time when Yoshisuji came back from excursion. So I figured you would kindle that with the roles reversed. So that's why I think they're going to pick up Goto and Suji again.
Okay, that's a very solid argument and case to be made for that. Yeah, I can totally see that.
Well, folks, which bracket do you agree with? Do you think that one of us picked the winner? Do you think we're both batty? Do you have your own bracket in mind? Let your entire outlook be known in the comments down below. And stay tuned for further batty bracketology when we look towards Best Super Juniors, as well as the upcoming super shows for New Japan Pro Wrestling. Sakura Genesis, of course, the first to follow. And stay tuned for further details regarding that. With that being said, Ash, always a pleasure. Anything further that you want to elaborate, ask, or tell your audience?
Yes, be on the lookout for the reviews of the New Japan Cup matches, which I'm looking forward to it, because I'm going to, as I do the reviews, I'm also going to continue to break down the bracket that I have, and hopefully it turns out well. If not, then hey, them's the breaks. It be like that.
I mean, about to say, I'll be sure to freaking be there with you to at least comment, be like, I overcome you, or damn it, I was wrong, you were right. And I'm sure that we will meet up, maybe even ahead of the finals, just to talk about our outlook of the tournament. If we're going to, still have our winner in play, or do we know what the winner is going to be? I say that we pick this up before the finals are actually done, just to see how far we were right or wrong, and to see who we think is actually going to win the New Japan Cup. Actual versus predicted.
Ooh, a New Japan Finals preview. I'd be down for that.
It's a food for thought for you,
time depending, so I will keep that in mind.
Again, keep batty, keep up with New Japan Pro Wrestling, Ash. Keep your audience engaged, and I'm always happy to support you along for the ride, if not burst you in this. So good luck to you, because I'm going to be watching regardless. And yeah, I look forward to the next time we break it down, bracket around, or watch along. If not, possibly this Sunday for Pro Wrestling Kingdom 8. Stay tuned, folks. That's still tentative. Of course, AEW Revolution is around the corner too. But anyway, about to say, continue.
I was about to say, where can the good folks find you?
Oh, as always, it's a pleasure. It's not about me. It's about all other fans of wrestling. If they want to find and engage me, I'm in Foster 1916. Follow me if you choose in Foster 1916 on the X and on YouTube. For I am nothing more but a simple man and a lifelong fan of professional wrestling. Damn it! Again, busy week for us here at the Super Studios. Of course, we're all part of that in conjunction with Super Studios family. So follow them on the X as you see right there. This Thursday after TNA Impact, we'll be City Predicting live for Vengeance Day as I kick off the NXT League of 2026. Are welcome to join, including you, as always. Saturday, of course, live watch along for NXT Vengeance Day. I have no idea if I have to call this. I hope not. Or if I am calling, I have no idea who I'm calling it with. It might literally be with Bass for all I know. So stay tuned. That'll be 7 p.m. Standard Time this Saturday. Then following that, of course, we continue our run of Pulled-Out Mania interviews with the incredible talent of Pulled-Out Mania ahead of the Saturday Shenanigans, the weekly Marvel Conversation Wrestling match hosted by Renegade Wrestling, JJ Williams. There's also more GCW watch-alongs this weekend. And again, based on your schedule, we'll talk about behind, private chat. We might cover Wrestle Queendom 8, courtesy of Pro Wrestling Eve on YouTube, members only exclusive pay-per-view. This coming Sunday, folks. Again, here is the card. Look at this freaking thing. AEW, Stardom, Eve Talent, internationality all across the world, and so much more. Dakota Kai's returning Pro Wrestling. Shuri versus Alex Winter 2. Asumi versus Sapphire Reed, one half of Hyperactive. Jamie Hayter, Mia Yamashita, Slisha Mark Martinez, Willow Nightingale. We all love Willow. Let's be honest here. Harley Cameron, Dina Samuels. It's a hell of a card. So I'm hoping we can cover it this week. I'm hoping we can cover it this weekend, but I know, again, priorities of passions and time is always a factor. But as always, let me conclude on the winners, losers, no better. It's just fans with opinions, but it's passion we all share. At the end of the day, folks, support one another, respect each other, protect your mentality too, trust your families, and check me out also with the No DQ fam on the No DQ review Tuesday night. And just what I'm doing professional wrestling too, it's truly as simple as that. And Ash, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Likewise. Support the wrestlers, not the brand.
Damn it. And subscribe to Batty for Wrestling.
Yes, you can follow me on Twitter. Also, you can find me on X, the app formerly known as Twitter, at ShadowBadAsh. Where I talk all sorts of craziness and shenanigans. Speaking of, you can also catch us every Saturday on Saturday Shenanigans as well.
Driving me batty. Damn it. And that's a fact, Jack.
Yes. This has been Bracket. Excuse me. I'm saying nothing I'm fast. Yeah. This has been Batty Bracket Breakdown. Until then, catch you guys later. Have yourselves a good night.
Have a good night, folks. Don't forget to sayonara. Goodbye.
Bye.